Greetings everyone and welcome back to the colony of Dapadal and to the second episode of my Farthest Frontier Let's Play. In the last episode, our brave founders set out from the old country to take their chances with wolves that live in forests and bleed people dry with teeth, as opposed to wolves that live in castles and bleed them dry with taxes. And so far, they seem to have made a good start of things. They've managed to set up some hunting, fishing, gathering, they've built warm places to sleep, and even established some early industry. Though, such freedom isn't without cost, and the founders have already had to pay in blood for their chance at a new start. Bicklow, hero of the Dell, has tragically fallen to rabies after a tangle with one of the aforementioned forest wolves, and is currently the sole resident of the colony graveyard. If possible, I would like to give them a few years of peace and quiet before we have to send them any roommates. And to that end, let's kick this episode off with building a new market hub, which will hopefully ensure that our homes are well stocked with food and also firewood come the next winter. We are in the very early summer of year 3. It didn't take long to get there, so we've got a little bit of time to set all of this up. However, looking at the area that we've got available to us, if we want to hit all of the houses, and we do, then I either need to relocate the road or relocate a house and possibly a well. And I think we'll probably move the market at some point later anyway. But I think moving the houses and the well is going to be the easier option. So let's make use of the fact that we can do that and just shimmy things around a little bit. Let's move you over there, and I think the well can probably just scooch up here a little bit. We'll just tuck that one in next to that house there. That should give us enough room in this area to stick the market down, and that will be a nice start. Now, outside of that, I would like to get some more gathering happening. And getting some more hunters out and about is probably going to be a very good move as well. But we're going to need some more animals for that, I think. We could expand out in this direction, get some hawthorn and the likes, and I'm not against that idea. Let's go ahead and see what we can do with this road, shall we? Let's bring that along here. It looks like it wants to go twist and turn around this area, though. Maybe if we instead bring it up there and along, we'll have an easier time. Let's drop a couple of exploration flags. We're going to want to be up this way anyway for the clay deposit at some point. So setting up a little forester, like a little gathering hut over there, will probably be a good move. Right, now that they've got all of that moved out of the way, let's see if this will in fact scooch in, and it will, and it'll still give us plenty of room as well for some desirability structures later on. Do we want to pop this there? I think so. Sure. Let's pop that down. Again, we don't actually need roads for the most part. You can have people travel along the grass, and it doesn't seem to really impact their speed, so a short trip is fine. If you want to make an area look a little bit more interesting with things like plazas instead of actual roads, that's fine. Though I would say that there is an argument to be made for always having roads up to a heavy industrial building, like a sawmill or something along those lines. Now, have we got anyone heading out in this direction? Let's speed up the simulation a little bit, see if there's anyone coming out this way. You're a builder. Okay, well, we'll wait for you to finish that. But this is a good enough road there, at least for me to be able to see what I'm doing regardless. So we need to grab it probably from here. No, need a little bit further along. There we go. We'll bring this road further out. Again, we're eventually going to want to come this way to grab the clay pit, so that's not going to be an issue for us regardless. Though this is going to take a fair bit of work. It needs 30 wooden planks and 10 stone. We've got the 10 stone. In fact, we've got the planks as well. Where is our car? Oh, predator sighted. Let's go and have a look at what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a wolf. Right, well, in this case, I want you to immediately leg it back to town. We're not going to take any chances with these wolves. No, no, no. Bicklow has already fallen to 1. Let's get everyone together. Try and rush it as a group. Oh, no. Oh, that was lucky. They were right on the edge there. Who was that? Melody Rose was saved by, I believe, Candy Cadet. Well done, Candy Cadet. Managed to take out the wolf and then didn't even stop. Just got straight back on with the work. Well done. Right, we've got some greens over here. Got some hawthorns there. Bird's nest, mushroom clusters, patch of herbs. We've got some good options around here, actually. This will probably be a fairly decent little place. Really? A building fire as well? My goodness. The gods are not happy with us. Thankfully, they have already moved the well, so this shouldn't be a problem for us to deal with. There we go. Hopefully you're collecting water rather than tossing it back in the well. I feel that's exactly what you did. Did you just collect water to just push it back in the well? People? I desperately require that you... Thank you. I don't know what was going on there, but alright, we'll put that one down to early access. Another building is being attacked. This time it's a bear. That one's a little bit more scary. Bum rushing a bear is not as effective as bum rushing a wolf. Everyone get in there. They are attacking my root cellar, though, which is annoying. They're going to gobble down a load of the food. Get inside. Set up the defenses. That's right. And the town centre should be able to take the bear on. One would hope. They are slowly doing damage. We are going to win against that bear. But, you know, as you can see, the town centre isn't exactly the most capable thing. New villager born. 4 villagers immigrated. Really? Doing a bear raid? Are you in cahoots with the bear? Is that how the bear found us? I have suspicions. But we've also got a new villager born. Now, sadly, it doesn't tell you who they're born to. Because I think that would be a wonderful bit of information. Even if it didn't, like, keep track of a whole family tree, just knowing who their parents were would be amazing. But we've got 5 new villagers to name. So, give me just a moment. Okay, everyone, please welcome Dr. Lady Terra Horde. That's quite impressive to already have a PhD. But just after being born, I mean, you know, you're an infant, you're not a child, you're a baby, and you've already been born with such a bright and prosperous future. Well done, Dr. Lady Terra Horde. We've also got Plumber Smack, Tally Fireheart, Native Water Bear, I told you they were in cahoots with the bears, and Fooey. Welcome all of you to the colony, and thank you ever so much for your continued support. Now, the bear over here having a bit of a rough time. It's already eaten some of our food, though we're still doing okay. 9 months worth of food, though 4 months of it will decay in the next 12 months. So we're still sitting pretty, really. But I really do need this bear to be dead. Why is it? I mean, I would have expected the bear to have skedaddled at this point. Usually they're less dumb about things, but okay. Well, you can all head out. I'm going to need the town centre repaired, though. My goodness. Also, we just saw 31 berries get spoiled. A lot of things just happened to the colony all at once. My goodness. Well, that should be fine, I think. Now, where is our cart? Let's find where that is sat right now. The cart is over here. Probably because I was doing some thumbnails with it. Let's slide you down there. Though on the way, you should be being emptied of all of these various materials. Hopefully, we'll get those out sooner rather than later. In terms of the herbs, I don't know if they decay, so I'm going to be... No, I'm going to say herbs and greens and all of these things... Yes, whilst they can be stored in there, I don't think you need to store water either. You really should empty those out. I really only want this used for building materials, just to make the job of building distant area stuff in distant areas a lot easier. So we're already coming into autumn, and we've got barely anything new done. We're putting up the marketplace, and I'm glad for that, but we definitely need a bit more going on. So let's pop down a forager shack somewhere around here. Let's flip that around onto that side. I think that should be good. Let's make sure that this marketplace is done as a high priority, though. And to that end, do we have a lot of builders available? Well, we do. Let's increase that up to 10, potentially. If there is building work to be done, I really do want that done as a priority. I would rather not completely drain our labor force, but right now we don't have long to get these things built before winter entombs us for another year. Rather, another winter. It entombs us for another quarter of a year. It doesn't entomb us for a year. That would be rather tragic. I'm fairly certain we wouldn't survive that. Though, again, you can hunt and fish all the way through winter. So, you know, it might not be as dire of a scenario as it first appears, but still, it wouldn't be good. Right, okay, so upgrade cost for this is 50 bricks, 250 gold, and 30 planks. My recommendation to you is this building's upgrade is fantastically powerful. Not only does it increase the area that it will be able to reach houses, so more taxes collected through that and also more houses serviced, but in addition to that, it will increase the tax income significantly. If you have the opportunity to purchase the bricks, because you'll probably have the opportunity to purchase them from a trader long before you have the opportunity to make them, I would take that. I would make that a priority, in fact. Right, now with the marketplace set up, I think it may actually be time for us to consider getting some farms up and running. Let's see, how wide of an area is that? Farm over here would be good, though it would kind of sit in this area. So let's try and avoid hitting that one too directly. In fact, let's build a little road, and we might want to take this road all the way up and connect it over there. We'll still allow that little curved road over here, but as the colony grows, we're going to find new places that we want to set things up. I don't want to lose everything here, but we probably are going to lose some of it. These hawthorns and greens over there, for example, I'm not gonna sweat it too much if we lose those. Now, setting up a field is a lot of work. It takes a long time to do, and while it's happening, we're not going to be able to grow anything on it, obviously. It's a matter of waiting for that to be done. Now, we can make the field certain dimensions. That's too large in total. And you'll notice that the size will affect the amount of workers. And much like Banished, you'll probably find that there is a point where you can get a certain amount of workers in the field that will be maximal for the amount of land to be worked. I'm not aware of what the formulas are, but typically what I try to do is, you see that transition there between 4 and 5? 4 and 5. I would rather them have 5 workers to this many fields, because as you can see, we can add quite a few. So that's just tipping it over to the 5 there. So we'll add that extra worker tending this field. Now, it's going to take them a long time to put all of that together. But yeah, generally speaking, I'll just look for the kind of changeover point. Obviously there we were dealing with quite a large field, so it's hard to manage. But on smaller fields you can see it a little bit easier. For example, if we look for a minimal sized field, that's 1 worker, 1 worker, 1 worker, 2 workers right there. I'm not adding very many tiles, but I am getting a second worker here. And that would just mean that the work done in the field would be done a little bit faster, I would hope. I'm not exactly clear on the mechanics. It's still a very early access game, so I'm sure as we play it more, we will come to understand the mechanics behind that a little bit more thoroughly. That is a lot of gathering there that we can do, and I am happy to do it, so let's get that going. Yes, please, and thank you. Now, you're going to be quite a fair way out from the town, but that should be alright. Already starting to see this place filling up, which is fantastic. We've got some smoked fish, smoked meat, greens, berries. Now, obviously this is outside of the root cellar, so it will decay reasonably fast in there. So, you know, we don't want to see too much stuff sat there, otherwise we may be seeing more things get lost to spoilage. The construction has been halted due to winter. They can't manage the soil in the winter. Now, we're not going to be able to see just how deep the farming simulation in this game goes until we've got the farm fully built. We can't manage it at all, but I am really looking forward to being able to share that one with you. It is really, really interesting. Now, one of the other things I would recommend in regards to farming, though, build a fence, because all kinds of creatures will want to have a chomp at your tasty, tasty morsels. So don't let them. That would suck. Let's build this out. We'll have a little gate there. I do tend to like having multiple ways in. You only need to build a simple fence, You don't need anything too complicated just to keep the deer out. Where is that final point? Oh, it looks like I did actually seal it off completely. That's fine, I'll just pop that little gate there. That will easily be enough for this field. In fact, that's going to be quite a large field. Now, there's probably something to be said about making smaller fields so that you're less vulnerable to crop blights, which would likely affect an entire harvest of a certain crop. But for this one, I think having a field that size, getting a good amount of workers going there, we'll try to expand that out. I could even perhaps halve that field if I really felt the need, and we'll monitor that as we go forward. It probably is worth having multiple fields that are preparing multiple different types of crops over any period, just so that you've got more food variety. But right now, we're not struggling with that. We've got plenty of food variety for the houses that we have. I say, and then all of a sudden there's only one type of food. Though it's interesting because we do definitely have multiple types here. And some of the houses have a nice variety of food in there. Oh, it could be that some of the houses are... Well, I mean, there's someone working here. They've only got protein at the moment. Now, another thing you'll notice is the houses are starting to accrue waste. We don't want to let that happen. Bad things occur as a result of that. Now, with regards to the compost yard, as you can imagine, not the best place to live next to. But I would say it's also useful to have near your farm. So if you do build your farms closer to your houses, try to leave a bit of room for the compost yard. You don't want to build this too far away from the houses because that's where the waste is produced. So you're going to have a long trek one way or another if you try to keep the compost yard super far away from the houses, thinking, oh, well, you know, I don't want all the smell there. Understand, someone's got to walk up there every morning just to go to work, and then they've got to wheel a wheelbarrow back and forth between houses all day long. So it can be quite arduous. So try to kind of find a balance with that. Somewhat close to your houses, but not so close that they actually have to have it in their face, I guess. And year 4 is already here, and we've got 2 new villagers. Let's find out who they are. And everyone say hello to my wife's, not Y wife's, biggest fan, and to Rizal Tribe. A new member of the tribe has joined the colony, slowly padding their numbers. Now, let's have a quick gander at our population. We've only got 4 labourers right now. Let's dial that back a little bit. 5 builders should be enough, I feel, to manage everything there. Okay, yearly taxes collected from the marketplace. We managed to get 44 dapper ducats there. Let's see if we can't go about building a trading post. We're going to need the town centre tier 2. And for that, we're going to need, actually, just population at this point. We've got everything else we need, a market, 8 shelters, and we've easily got all of the materials. So we just need to grow the colony a little bit more. That shouldn't be a problem for us. It's literally just a matter of time. Now, how much work is this field going to require? This field is going to require an obnoxious amount of work. Now, that is definitely a point in favor of having smaller fields, and one I had not considered when deciding to make such an enormous one, is we are going to need someone, or several someones, to tend all of these fields and just to build it to begin with. So again, you might want to have smaller fields as a consequence. Now that still won't go down there, still slope too steep. We're going to need a little bit more terraforming, it seems. Let's continue on then. Another bunch of work to be done. Now, this final tree is chopped, and hopefully that'll get loaded straight up there, and there is now 4,560 productive effort required to prepare this place. Thankfully, all of our farmers, I believe, will get involved with this, because this is now a farming task as far as I'm aware. So, and we've got quite a few farmers to do the work, but still would perhaps be a little bit better if there were less people involved. Now, we're not going to need extra houses for quite some time, so we're going to hold off on that one. But other things that we could do is get a little bit more information about the area around us, though bear in mind that that does come with the risk of us saying hello to a bear accidentally. Let's pop something there. We can see that that is a lake around there. And I'm going to tend a little bit closer to the fog of war over on this side. because I know that we have got some wolf dens out in that direction. We've definitely seen wildlife approaching from there, so I'd want to be a little bit more cautious there. There we go, 4 new villages and a new villager born. That's everything we need. So I'm immediately going to begin the upgrade, and to celebrate the upgrade, let's get some names. Alright, Chaotricles has selected all of the names. Interestingly, our newest villager, our new villager baby, Eli FCR, is actually, they were named Eli FCR Horde already. So welcome again. Apparently that name has already been reused. Now, we've also got Malachi, we've got Piegood, I agree, Elowin, and Magres Polar Bear. Obviously, Elowin hasn't been renamed, but we are going to name. But I just wanted you to appreciate that I'm renaming Elowin as well as Fion. This, my goodness. There we are. Russell McBride Horde. Congratulations. Welcome, everyone, to the colony. There we go. And with that, we will be up to Tier 2, which is going to mean that we can start building some of the more interesting buildings very, very soon. And we've already got a bunch of people getting out there and exploring the wilderness. This is fantastic. Let's get a little bit of something there as well. We've got some more boar over in this direction. That's fantastic. We might be able to even get the hunter over here a little bit further up as a result. Yeah, just about there should be good. And we've got more opportunities to gather resources in this direction. And for now, I think it's probably wise just to have a regular perimeter expansion in terms of our exploration. We've got a lot of information about this area over here. We found the gold again. More hawthorns over there. At this stage, I would say we could probably afford another area for fishing. Oh, that's fantastic. On your walk back, you actually did a full perimeter around the lake. So now we have the entire lake visible to us. That's actually quite useful. I mean, you don't really get anything from it, but I now know the exact dimensions of the lake. But there is deer over here, and a decent amount of them too. So I think a hunter's cabin over on this side will be quite a good investment for us. So let's pop you there. And once again, I quite like having a little well out by any resources this far out into the wilderness. That way they can stock the areas with water to get through winter should they decide to take shelter there due to inclement weather. And also if there is a fire, then there's water close by. Got hazelnuts down there. This is actually really, really lovely. We've got a lot of stuff going for us over in that direction. And of course we have the Dapperdale Town Centre has been leveled up. Now the next upgrade, a little bit more involved. We've got to get to homesteads for that. Those are the second tier of shelter upgrade. We've got to build a school. We're going to want one of those anyway. We've got to build a trading post. Again, going to want one of those. But the required population is now taking a massive leap up to 125. Also, the next upgrade is going to cost quite a lot of gold. We don't tax people for coins, by the way. We tax them just straight up gold ingots. Don't ask. I don't. You know, if they've managed to bring gold ingots with them from the old country, I don't want to know where they put them. And also, I hope the Baron doesn't realize that we probably raided their vaults, because I can't think of any other reason why we have just straight up gold ingots available to us. All right. Now, in terms of amenities, first thing we're going to want is a trading post. This is a huge deal. And I also want this to be protected. So building it over here probably makes a fair bit of sense. We'll have that right next to, well, we'll have it over on this side. We'll have that one, maybe another road just running down here by the town centre. I think that probably makes a lot of sense. We're probably going to want to get up some sort of defences now as well. Actually, that is a little bit far out from the road. But no worries. We'll pop that there. Gives us a little bit of room for other things. Now, we're currently bringing in 11 gold per month due to taxes. And that, I would say, is going to be enough to support. We could either go for a barrack where we can train soldiers, which we will need eventually for more heavily armed attackers. But right now, a lookout tower is going to be all we need. And it's much less costly to build one of these. So I would recommend getting a lookout tower earlier rather than later. Where we place it, I think we'll pop it between Well, I kind of wanted to cover all of my storages, and I guess from here we can do that. Also, this will back up and protect us from any animal incursions from this direction, which is going to be a particularly important one. It'll take a little while to get all of that built. Where is our wagon right now? I think the wagon then can head down hither and help out with building the town centre. The trade post and the lookout tower. Now, we are going to need a lot more people, but again, don't need to worry about that just yet. We've got enough people. Also, as it stands, or rather we've got enough living space to expand into. As it stands, our shelters are relatively low in regards to demands. Our people aren't demanding a lot of things of us right now, even optional things. They're quite happy as things go, and we can see that with the happiness overlay. There are one or two people, one exactly, who are just happy instead of very happy, but that's good. Once we start letting these upgrade, that is going to start being a bit more of an issue. But we can now start upgrading them. And there are reasons to do that. Whilst it is going to increase their demands, each house currently pays taxes only through their use of the market. But once you've got a homestead, the homestead itself will pay tax. So if you've got a large amount of upgraded homesteads ready for people to move in or not, you will generate more tax as a consequence of that. So with that in mind, it may be time for us to start thinking about some decorations. Now, we've already got a fairly nice little area down here, but I have left room enough for some items, like a small park over here will have a huge effect. You can see if we take that away, we've got a desirability of only 8% over on the far side. We're going to bring that up to 14% now. That was 9, it's up to... if we actually brought it in a little bit closer, it would be even more stronger. But this is good enough. This brings this one up to 21% right there, which is actually a good way there. That was going to cost us a fair old bit of gold, though, so it's going to be a little while. I want to make sure that these are built as a priority, so let's make sure that happens, as the gold really should be going in here first and foremost. And also over here, I'll prioritize those two buildings just to make sure that that gold doesn't get spent on there. But once that's done, we'll start looking at what else we can build in this area to help out. We will easily be able to get the central buildings up to the required amount. And one of the ways that we'll do that is by building things like schools. For example, a school is... Well, actually, a school is a 3... Oh, no, a school is a 3x4, so we're probably not going to be able to fit that one in. But it's got quite a generous area of effect, so we could build one there without too much trouble, or I could simply move that house around and build it here, and the school would have a little park right next to it, which would be quite lovely. However, while I was faffing around there, I missed the opportunity to find the child. Once that's gone, it's kind of a bit of a pain in the bum to find people, but this is an opportunity for me to show you, if you happen to be playing this in a more role-play-centric way, and you care about naming them, and you do miss out on one of those indications, it is a million times easier to use that. But you can simply click on the homes. That's my recommendation there. Find the homes, because people will make their way to a home at some point. And you can just go through the homes until you find someone who hasn't been named. Dala, there, for example, is the child. The child is the hardest one to name, because you can't specifically select children in here. They just kind of exist, but they don't exist on any census until they're an adult. Then you can just go through the various jobs. So that is my tip to you. If you do lose track of someone, click on the homes, because they are going to be in amongst them somewhere. But on that note, let me quickly get them all named. And welcome back. Now, since I don't have an easy list just to run through, I'll just tell you the names that we had. We have Russell McBride II, Darth Raptor, Apple Fumble, and I Know How to Soup. Interesting name, to be sure, but whilst it's definitely got some sort of story behind it, we will accept you, no judgment here. What a fine name you have, and we can rely on you for the soup, apparently, which is a very useful name. It's like a Welsh name. It gives us additional information. It's not just a sound; it's a description. Well done, you. Right, let's make sure that these are all getting done. Now we've got a couple of extra hands to do all of the work. Should all be getting done a little bit faster, in fact. Yeah, we've got 7 labourers now, even with the 5 jobs. Oh, 7 of them are builders, which is a bit of an interesting one. It's funny how that one goes along. Harvesting resources. Oh, are we down? Yes, we are down stone. Very well. A couple of buildings that need it. But there is a massive collection of stone over here. So that should be fine for us to gather. Set that up over there in the forest. And we'll also move the wagon over there to help out. Now, we might want to set up a collection over here because we'll be able to get some spices there, which would be very, very nice for us. But additionally, with all of that set up, we've now got access to Tier 2 buildings. Now, we've got quite a lot of Tier 2 buildings, and I apologize for not taking the time to look over them. We'll do that now. So amongst the resources, we've got a couple of things that are still locked up, and they are going to require more than likely the wagon shop. All of the very heavy goods, clay pits, iron mines, etc., or things that kind of rely on the wagons to deliver resources to, such as the work camp, which is where you'll gather stone and logs. That requires the wagon shop, and in terms of housing, the temporary shelter requires the wagon shop because it requires a wagon to deliver resources to it. But we do have access now to the apiary. We have access to the potter's building, so we can turn clay into pottery, which we can then either sell or use to increase the happiness of our homes. We've got the weaver's building, who can take flax and produce linen cloth and just work clothes. Got the candle shop, which can take beeswax from the apiary and make candles. The soap shop, which can take tallow and herbs and produce soap. That's going to be an important one for us. We've also got the charcoal kiln, which uses firewood to produce coal if we don't have an actual source of coal. And finally, the armory, which requires hide, iron, and coal to produce armor. Name says it all, really. But that building, that's more of a long-term project, I would say. Okay, we can squeeze this in right about there. Let's go ahead and pop that down. Right, villager attacked by predator. Which villager and what predator? That is a boar. That is a boar. I feel that you should leave. That being said, you seem to be doing a good job of it. I'm actually amazingly proud of you. Well done. Boars are really no joke. So the fact that you managed to take one down, yeah, very proud. I'm not too surprised that they got a little angry, though, because we are pressing into their territory quite aggressively here. I'd also like some more trees, because we're getting a little bit low on the logs as well. So let's do a little bit more of a thorough harvest over there. The farm is still a ways to go. This farm has taken over a year to prepare. It'll look like that farm is gonna be a 2-year build project for us, so let's hope that it does well. We are unfortunately out of ranged ammunition for our hunter, and that is a massive oversight on my part. In fact, I completely dropped the ball there because we haven't even set up a tannery, a cobbler shop, or a basket shop. But let's fix that now. Let's get the Fletcher up and running. Is always one of these problems when you're commentating over a game. Is sometimes you're so busy explaining how things work that you forget to do the things that you're trying to explain. Right, where do we want the Fletcher? Now, the Fletcher is an industry that doesn't need to be separate from the housing. It isn't a loud or smelly industry. So let's go ahead and pop the Fletcher's building right about there, I think. And let's have a look. We are also going to want... do we have a source of willow yet? Let's have a quick gander around. Are we actually collecting any willow? It'll be easy to see. We'll bring up our resource storage. We don't. So the basket shop is not necessary yet. A shame, because it would be very, very useful for us. Cobbler shop will take hides and produce shoes. And once again, this is not a particularly bad industry. It doesn't produce any loud noises or bad smell. But the tannery, as you can guess, not exactly something that people are falling over themselves in order to live next to. But we do need one, so let's pop the tanner around here. That can just kind of be tucked in about there, and that should be fine. I would like to get a little bit more of this land leveled out, though, so that we can have a nice road down there as well. Okay, now with all of that going up, we will hopefully start seeing more arrows being supplied to the hunter. They've managed to grab some, I believe. No, they're heading out. Villager, there's no ammunition for ranged weapon. What are you doing? You're seeking weapons. We probably do have some over here. Do we have? Yes, we've got another bundle of arrows there. Weapon, a bow. We will be okay for the time being, but we do now have a guard tower up and running. Currently only one guard, and I'm going to wait until we've got the Fletcher building set up before we have a second one going there. Darth Raptor has decided to be our lookout. I feel that the name is quite appropriate considering the work you're going to be doing. Well done, you. And the work on the other buildings continues apace. As soon as we've got this up and running, we'll be able to start bringing in different resources that we don't yet have easy access to. Let's find out who our Fletcher is, though. That is I Know How to Soup. Immediately got on to producing bows and arrows. Apparently, it isn't. Soup is not the only thing they know how to. Well done, you. Very, very happy with that, indeed. Right, we've got 3 new immigrants. Let's have a quick gander at their names. We've got currently Hawk, Dressed, and Year. All right, let's find out what your Jellicle names are. All right, we've got Obro Horde II, we've got Little Rabbit Horde, and finally we've got Tarin Winterblade Horde. Now, if I can somehow finagle it so that you definitely become a guard manning one of the lookout towers, or indeed a soldier, I will do my best, because that is an amazing name for a warrior. Right, how are we doing over here? Are we stockpiling? No, they're just literally gathering the stone and immediately hauling it back down here, which is a bit of a shame. We need more gathering just done idly while we're doing other things, just to make sure that that happens properly. We do have the hunters area up and running though, which is fantastic. Now, in terms of the hunt, let's pop the hunting reticule just about there, right over the deer, and that should ensure that more food is coming in to. Why was that highlighted? I'm not sure. More food is coming in to the smokehouse. On that note, how is the smokehouse doing? Let's have a quick look. Transferring goods. 65% of their time is transferring goods. I'm not liking that at all, if I'm honest. Now, the ways that we could improve this is by making sure that there are more labourers, so that they will spend more time just gathering materials and moving them around. This could also be a symptom of not having enough materials, though. Because, as we can see here, we don't have enough fish or meat to do the work. So, lacking any meaningful work to do, they can't smoke any meat, so they'll just spend their time emptying the inventory or bringing firewood along. So that might not necessarily mean that they are being distracted from doing their work by hauling. It might simply mean that I need to give them more work to do. And that could definitely be something that we look into. I would like another fishing hut somewhere around here, just to make sure that we've got more fish for them to work with. Now, I could have the second fishing hut down here and just move these around a little bit, and I think that would be a better idea than sticking a fishing hut all the way over there. Later on, maybe, but I don't think proximity to the fishing hut really has any particular impact. I think it's just the amount of fish you're taking out of the area that really has any real effect on the quantities of fish that remain. Let's set that fishing hut up about there. I think that should be fine. And we'll, again, have a little road. Actually, no, we won't have a little road there. I think that one will be okay. But this, we're going to move along. We'll pop that one about. Well, over here, we've got 100. We can bring it... Oh, right, it's interfering with itself there. That's kind of amusing. 120 seems the best we're going to get around here, so we'll just plonk that one right about there, and that should be fine. Right, we've got 3 new villages immigrated. It seems that our town is being prosperous, and look at that, we've got a trader on their way. I worry about what we're going to find. It appears that we have attracted the attentions of the local wizard. Okay, so usually I would warn you against buying any medicine from random peddlers, more likely to be pee in a jar than anything useful. But I'm going to say, use your best judgment with this one. Might actually cure any ailment you got. Might turn you into a frog. Don't know, but it's going to be on your own head, be it. So, just use your best judgment, I guess. And while people are over at the market potentially buying artifacts of earth-shattering power, we will welcome Manu, Malachi, and Pokey Dragon to the colony. Welcome, all of you. That farm is slowly getting there. It's going to take a little bit more work than that, though, to get it all done. Still, not too bad. Now, one of the things with wagons, I would strongly recommend that you have the icons on your buildings showing up. Because if you have that turned off, it's F2 that toggles it, you will easily miss this. One of the things that I want the most, the quality of life enhancement that I feel would have the most impact, is a notification that there is a trader waiting at the trading post. Because currently, that is the only notification you get, no matter how many traders. And it is so ridiculously easy to miss it completely, and thus miss an opportunity to trade. Yearly tax collected, we collected 132 gold last year. That's actually quite impressive. Now, on the topic of traders, let's have a look in here. We've currently got Taran Winterblade is manning the market. We can have an extra person helping out here, and I actually would recommend you do, because sometimes you don't have a long before they leave. Right now we've got quite a generous 56 days. Sometimes it's a lot smaller, and if you have to bring things over to the trading post, having two people will make an enormous difference to that. Pokey Dragon has decided to help us out here. Now, currently the trading post has 0 gold. The trader has 1,706. We need to bring gold here in order to trade with it. We have none. So probably what's going to happen here is we're going to try and make money and have that available in the trading post by selling something we have to the trader. Pay very close attention to these markers. This is the price. In rare cases, they will both buy and sell. But this is not, these traders aren't like your typical RPG fare. They don't buy from you at, say, 5 gold and then sell back to you at 500. This is the price that they will both buy and sell at. It isn't a different price. Now, there are some things they will only buy and some things they will only sell. Rather, buy is in this direction and sell is to the left. However, with herbs here, we can buy or sell, but it's a very, very bad price. So we don't want to sell these herbs because we're getting a price that's far below average. If we wanted to buy them, though, this would be the best time to do it. You want to buy it when they're trading at below average. This isn't an indicator of how good the deal is from your perspective. It is what is the price being asked or offered compared to the kind of global average of that price. So you can, for example, sell, if we had ingots, we could sell it for a fair old price there. We would be making a good deal for ourselves. But if I were to buy clay from the trader, we'd be making a very good deal for ourselves because the trader is trading below the average price. It's a little bit different from what I think a lot of people are used to with these sorts of games. So it bears having a bit of a more thorough explanation. And yes, before you ask, you can 1000%. Sometimes you'll have two traders. Sometimes one of them will be buying something from you at above average price and the other one will be selling it to you at below average price, and you can just sit there and shimmy the items. You are literally just a middleman. You are basically providing someone who's doing the negotiating between the two traders. The only thing you're doing is having your people move the goods off one person's wagon onto the other person's wagon, but you are making a fat profit whilst doing it. Just kind of like real life, really. Right, there's no actual good deals here, though. I could sell stone, don't really want to. I'm definitely not going to sell my tools. So this is kind of a lackluster trader for our first one. The one thing I will say is actually being able to buy some crude weapons at such a low price is not a bad one. But I don't feel we need anything that they're selling right now. It is generally speaking better to buy raw materials and then sell back finished goods. You will make a lot more money that way. To that end, if they were willing to buy planks, I might actually buy all of their logs. You don't have to, though. But one of the other things I will say, and since I'm not going to be moving anything around, I'll just take someone off that job. One of the final things I will say is that you can make money, like you can make a living as a trader in this game. Buy low, sell high. Just keep doing that. We've got a second trader there. Maybe we'll find out that this trader's got a bit of a better job for us. They want to buy baskets, soap, crockery, ale, gold ore, and coal. None of which I have. They are willing to sell me fish at a smoked fish, no less, at far below the average. They're willing to sell me below average on stone. They are willing to sell tools at below average. That's not bad at all. Right, heavy tools. The only thing you have to buy. You can make heavy tools later with high enough technology, but you will need heavy tools to create the buildings that will make heavy tools. You have to buy this eventually. There is no way around it. And I've seen some people be a little bit miffed at the idea of that, but it's a very much a chicken and the egg scenario. Right. Is there an opportunity here for trade? There possibly is with stone. They're willing to buy stone for 7, and I can buy, Score of the Butcher is willing to buy stone for 7, and Atka of the Iron Clan is willing to sell it for 5. So I could make a 2 gold profit on each bit of stone that I shift between the two. Do I want to do that? Kind of do, actually, yeah. I'm going to need to make a little bit of money first. How long are you here for? Okay, we've got a bit of time. So, once again, I'm actually going to need Pokedragon back here. I'm going to need an initial transfer of stone in here just to get the wagon rolling. Let's bring 10 across. Now, that has created a job for someone to bring stone to this building, and they're going to go ahead and do that. You can tell them to keep stock. In this case, if ever the amount of stone in the trade post drops below 10, someone would get a job to go and collect it, but we're not going to be doing that one here. Right, we just need to wait for that stone to be brought over, and then we will kickstart the trading, and we will very, very rapidly make a lot of money. As much as we can make off Skov. Now, there is obviously a limit to the amount of stone that Atka has brought and the amount of gold that Skov has. So you can't break the game completely, and this is a legitimate thing that quite a lot of market towns would do. Their services as a middleman was often how the market towns made the money. They weren't really producing anything to sell. They were just moving things about. Right, that's enough for me, so I can already start it now. So we'll just move that across. That'll make 28, sell those items, and then we'll just go straight across over here, and we'll buy the items. I no longer need that brought over, so I'm actually going to confirm that we don't need any more. Let's remove Pokedragon from this building. I do believe you need at least someone there to do any trades at all. But at this stage, I will now buy as much as my gold will allow. And it's the gold in the trade post, not the gold up here, that you need to look at. So I can buy 28 golds worth of stone, which is 5 stone. You want to stock it. The difference is, if you buy and transfer, it instantly goes into one of the available inventories in the town, whereas stock sits in the trade post. So we've got 5 there. And yes, initially this is going to be slow for me. So I'll bring it back to let you know how much money we've made. And there we go. From putting 5 blocks of stone into the trader's post, I went from having no money to 456 gold. That's more money than this town has ever seen in one place at one time. I feel that perhaps Taran Winterblade, whilst I'm terribly sorry, I judged a book by its cover. I saw your name and I thought, clearly warrior. And that might be the profession of your family. But secretly, you have always dreamt of being a merchant, and that's why you ran away from home. You wanted to pursue your dreams. Well, here you can pursue them. You have a gift, Taran Winterblade, for making money. Well played. Well played indeed. You could probably sell stones to a quarry. I am very impressed. We do not want to stock anything over here at this point. Let's confirm that, or rather, perhaps I need to... it's not going down, so maybe that will update in time. But well done, Taran Winterblade. That was glorious. Now, what are we going to do with this cash? My recommendation is probably that we move that across to the main storehouse. That being said, we do now have the means to buy some stuff. There's nothing really here that I want to purchase from Scorf the Butcher. I've almost made Scorf broke. I feel bad. However, let's have a gander in here. We could buy a lot of smoked fish for a very good price. Or alternatively, we could buy a lot of tools for a fairly good price as well. We're probably not going to see that price again for a while. That being said, we need at least one of these to get a mill. Getting one of those early is certainly not a bad idea. So sure, I'll buy one. We will instantly transfer that to the main stockpile. And then we could perhaps just go for the fish with what remains and leave maybe a little bit of cash in the traders for later. So let's bring that down to... Sure, we'll buy 32. And we'll transfer that. We'll leave 72 gold in the trader for another day, another rainy day. There we are. We're almost done with the farm over here. But again, I love the fact that you can do that with trading. Because it is... I know it seems like, oh, that's really cheesy. It's kind of how life is sometimes. Sometimes people can make money out of just having money. It's kind of offensive when you think about it, but it's true. Right, let's have a look at what we've got down here. Almost done. There we are. Crops ready for assignment, and it is the very beginning. Well, it's mid-spring, so I guess it's a little ways in. So I'm very glad that we're going to be able to showcase how this works. Also, we've got the compost yard. Malachi Horde II. Well done, you. This is it might not be the nicest of professions to have, but it is an essential profession. We all thank you for your service / sacrifice. Now, this is the farming situation, and there's a lot to take in here. I'm not going to expect it all to be obvious right from the get-go. I would recommend the parts that you can safely ignore right from the beginning until a little bit later is the soil mixture. Don't worry too much about the soil mixture. Do know that it is more clay than it is sand, and eventually we'll probably want to adjust this, but that's not something we need to faff about right now. What we want to look at is the crop rotation. You've got a 3-year rotation, and it will cycle. And over here we have all of the various crops. Also, we've got a maintaining the field. You'll notice that the field has a set amount of fertility. It has a set weed level and a set rockiness. Weeds will naturally increase, and rockiness will also naturally increase. It's just very, very slow. It's a very, very gentle change there. Maintaining the farm will tell your farmers to allow the fields to be fallow for a certain amount of time, and they will just work the ground. They will remove rocks, they will try to kill off weeds, and they'll have a very strong effect over these two things. Once you've got a farm established, leave one of these in there in a 3-year cycle, and it'll keep the rocks down and will do everything you need. Depending on what else you plant, of course, because weeds will be a force. However, quite a lot of the crops that you can plant, if we have a look at them, again, there's a lot of information here. Don't feel overwhelmed. Weed suppression is the one in regards to weeds to look at. If a crop has weed suppression, then it means that that crop is as or more invasive than weeds are, and they will choke the weeds out from resources and will naturally decrease weeds over time just from having that crop growing there. Rockiness, resilience, because they can't quite do that to rocks, so it's more how well they can live in an area with rocks. And some of them are much better at that than others. For example, buckwheat here does not care about rocks. You could grow that here even if it was a completely rocky area. Now, all crops will have a certain preference in terms of their preferred soil. So we can see here that to have the maximum kind of soil for buckwheat, we'd want to add a lot more sand. And right now, in fact, it's so much clay in the soil that we'll have a reduced amount of yield from the buckwheat. The other thing to pay attention to is the bar. This is how much time it will take for something to grow. So it's kind of like Tetris. You've got to kind of fit these things in the time you've got. The last 3 months, this is like... not necessarily midwinter, but it's deep winter. Nothing grows there. No one will even tend the fields. The soil is too hard from the frost. But be aware that the area just after winter, so the first month definitely, maybe the first 2, and the last month and maybe the last 2 months just before winter, They are subject to frost events. Definitely more so in the spring, because you're just coming out of midwinter, you might have a cold snap persist. So be aware of that. And in the middle, around summer, this is where you're likely to have heat events. Now, I mention that because you probably already noticed that some crops have better tolerance for frost and some have better tolerance for heat. Plan that accordingly. As long as you can plant the crop, if there is no frost or heat event, like a dry spell, a heat wave, a blizzard or anything like that, then it won't really matter. But if that does occur and the crop isn't able to handle it, then you might end up having a very reduced yield, or it might just kill the crop. So that is definitely something to be aware of. Also, be aware of the crop variety. Illnesses and crop blights will tend to spread to like crops. So, for example, beans and peas. They share enough in common that a blight that affects one may well affect the other. So my next bit of advice with setting up your field, don't set it up so that you have two crops of a very similar nature right next to each other. Try to put a bit of a buffer, either a period of the land being fallow, or farmers working the land, or a crop that is completely different. So that blight can't survive on that crop anyway, and the blight will just fix itself. If, however, you don't, then the blight will get more and more strong, and eventually it'll just wipe out a crop, and that can be the difference between life and death for your colony. Finally, the last bit of really important information. I mean, grow time is important, but that's kind of represented by the bar there. The last one is impact fertility and fertility dependence. How fertile the soil needs to be, like how sensitive they are to fertility. So on low soils, they might have very poor yields if they're very sensitive to fertility, but some crops literally don't care. They would grow on the side of a mountain or like a volcano's caldera. They don't care about fertility. In fact, actually, a volcano is probably quite a fertile area. But that being said, some crops will handle it better than others. That's something to be aware of. But you'll notice the fertility impact. It's between -5 and +5. This crop, buckwheat, will reduce the fertility of the soil by 2%, or rather by 2. The clover crop here doesn't give any food, but will restore fertility by 5. Plan that as well. Try to keep your fertility kind of hovering. You will eventually be able to add fertilizer as well to help the field, but as far as I'm aware, maintenance does not do that. It only adding fertilizer, which again comes from the waste that we're collecting. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is the very first year, I'm just going to try and pull the weeds down in the rockiness. I'm not going to try and plant a crop. This has been a very big project for us, but hopefully this is going to have a massive effect and pull all of this down and get it to a nice place to start with. Well, actually, one thing I could do, I suppose, is I could squeeze in a period of clover there. This is tolerant to heat and cold, so it's not going to matter. And that will be our first year. We're just prepping the field for other things. Then in the next year, we're going to grow beans. Beans, again, actually improve fertility, but these are more heat tolerant than frost tolerant, so we're going to want something that's very frost tolerant first. And I'm going to say, let's go with some turnips. Good old turnips. And then we're going to have beans growing there. And I don't believe we got any more room after that. We're just not going to be able to fit that in. So these are two very different crops, so I'm not going to worry at all about any kind of blight there. Following that, I would like some carrots. This crop will give us root vegetables, turnips as well, I should imagine. Beans will give us, they will yield dried beans. These can be stored for longer than other things, which is actually quite nice. We've also got peas. Peas are very tolerant as well. This will give us dried beans. Well, actually, no, we won't put that in. Again, as I said, don't try to have try not to have two crops that are the same type of resource. Otherwise, you could run afoul of that. We could go for something like fertility. Depends. It's so high on these, though. Well, what I could do is pop down some clover, and then maybe go for some cabbages. This would give us vegetable greens, likewise with leeks. But leeks are much more fertility dependent. They have no weed suppression, but cabbage, much the same. Very, very minimal weed suppression. Of the two, I would say we'll go for cabbage because it has the lesser effect on fertility. So let's have a look at our total fertility balance here. We're going to be adding 5 fertility here, so that's up to 70. Then we are going to be taking 2 away, followed by adding 2, so that's net neutral. Then we're going to be adding an extra 5 and taking away 2. Now, depending on what we place up here then, once this has gone through, we will be changing this because we're only ever really going to need 1 of these once the field is properly maintained. We'll probably have a clover and something else. So gradually, this field will just become more fertile over time. And I think that's going to be a good one. It's not going to have a very high yield of food, though. But we'll build other farms for that. It'll be a good supplementary food source for our hunting. But there we are. An incredibly in-depth... a building is on fire. Well, an incredibly in-depth farming system, but one that I really, really enjoyed. It was right behind the well, so we should be okay with that, I would assume. Could you please stop throwing water back into the well? What are you doing? I mean, I think it's purely visual. Because they clearly put the smokehouse out. That is very fitting. The smokehouse was the one on fire. Yeah, usually they pick up the buckets and then you see a long procession of people just running into the blaze, which is brave of them. Very, very, very heroic, I must say. But yeah, very weird there as well. Now, that you can have an idea of what happened in the previous years as well. And this is actually all previous harvests. So if you, for example, looked away for an entire year and then you were wondering, oh, well, I was more interested in knowing what the harvest before last was, you can just click on this drop down and you can get all information about that. We can see that weed levels went down a little bit, rockiness went up a little bit. We're probably not going to see that change too much throughout this year. The current clover crop, fertility 65, planted 752, max yield 752. We're not actually going to get anything out of it, but that's just useful information. And this will, after this crop is harvested, we'll then see what kind of effect that had on the weeds. It's not going to really affect anything else. But let's have a look down here, shall we? There is at least one building that was saying that it could be upgraded. It may have been a road. Ah, yes. It was just a road. We're not going to have to upgrade that road for quite some time, I don't think. Now, in terms of money, not doing great anymore, as you can imagine, because we are actually having to spend a fair bit. Now, again, we have got cash available, and I can always move that out should I need it. But I would rather allow the trading post to build up its money. So instead, given that we're almost pushing on the limit for the people that can live in our town, let's go ahead and wrap this episode up with a couple more houses ready for new migrants. Let's pop this one down there, I think. We'll have a few over here, if I can even fit any in. No, we're going to have to level that area out. Okay, fair enough. We could probably have another one down here then. Just squeeze that in next to the existing one. And then we'll have a house over there as well. Just to the side. Again, it doesn't need to have a road right next to it. Though I probably will change that up a little bit as this area grows out, because this is going to be very much our town centre. So it makes sense that this would be a little bit more urbanized than other things. We'll keep the little squirrely gardens and alleyways to add character, but the roads will probably be a little bit more uniform in some places, but not everywhere. I kind of like the organic sprawl for quite a lot of it. Now, the last thing I need to do is make sure that you are actually gathering something worth gathering. There's 40 right there. Let's go for that. There we are. Now, in terms of the fishing, fish count 342. And over here, this is the entire lake, by the way, from what I can understand. So having those two together, I don't think we're going to add any more fishing to that lake. I think that would result very quickly in us overfishing. Well, all right, I think that's going to be where we wrap things up. There were two fairly heavy explanations of game mechanics in this episode. We covered trading and we covered the farming. The farming is the big one. It's probably the more complicated of all of it. But again, I quite like the fact that you can basically make money with the trader in having your people move money from one trader's cart to the next. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. But that is going to be it from me. I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode, and in the next one, hopefully, we will be expanding out the town even further, and we might actually start seeing some of the houses upgrading. I think we'll actually aim to try and get a couple more decorations in this area, and maybe get our first homesteads on the way. But that is going to be it from me for now. So until next time, and as always, do leave a like if you liked, sub if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.